RMS Titanic, the pride of the White Star Line, was more than a ship. Constructed in Belfast, the Titanic was the largest and most luxurious ship of its time. It boasted advanced safety features, leading many to call it unsinkable. It could carry over 2,200 passengers. The Titanic's grandeur was evident in every detail. As the Titanic prepared for its first journey, excitement filled the air. The ship departed on April 10, 1912. The Titanic's maiden voyage was a spectacle. Crowds gathered to watch the giant ship set sail, waving goodbye to loved ones and marveling at the vessel's size and beauty. On board, the atmosphere was one of celebration and luxury. First-class passengers enjoyed gourmet meals and exquisite service. The second-class and third-class passengers, though less opulent, found comfort and amenities far superior to what they had experienced before. Passengers included famous figures like John Jacob Astor IV, one of the wealthiest men in America, and his young bride Madeline. Despite the ship's luxury, there were concerns. Some crew members worried about the speed at which the Titanic was traveling through iceberg-infested waters. Wireless operators, overwhelmed with passenger messages, missed crucial iceberg warnings from other ships. As the Titanic sailed through the cold Atlantic waters, the mood remained optimistic. Passengers relished the ship's many amenities, unaware of the impending disaster. Life aboard the Titanic was a study in contrasts. First-class passengers enjoyed luxuries like the grand staircase, the swimming pool and the lavish dining rooms. They attended concerts, played cards, and socialized in the ship's elegant lounges. The second-class passengers, while not as opulent, still enjoyed comfortable accommodations and good food, a far cry from their usual travel experiences. Third-class or steerage passengers had simpler quarters, but still found the ship a vast improvement over other vessels. They gathered in common rooms, played music, and dreamed of new lives in America. The Titanic was a melting pot of cultures and classes, each group experiencing the journey in its own unique way. The crew worked diligently to ensure the comfort and safety of all on board. From the captain and officers navigating the ship to the stewards and maids attending to passengers' needs, every member played a crucial role. As the Titanic sailed into the night of April 14, 1912, the weather was clear and the sea was calm. At 11:40 p.m. on April 14, 1912, a lookout spotted an iceberg directly in the Titanic's path. Despite efforts to steer clear, the ship struck the iceberg on its starboard side. The collision caused the hull to buckle and water to pour into the lower compartments. The unsinkable ship had been mortally wounded. Panic slowly set in as the crew and passengers realized the severity of the situation. Captain Edward Smith ordered the lifeboats to be prepared and sent distress signals. However, there were not enough lifeboats for everyone on board. The ship had only 20 lifeboats, enough for about half of the passengers and crew. As water flooded the lower decks, passengers scrambled to reach the upper levels. Women and children were given priority for the lifeboats, leading to heart-rending scenes of separation and sacrifice. In the midst of the chaos, the ship's band continued to play, providing a semblance of calm. Amidst the panic, several individuals emerged as heroes. Second Officer Charles Lightoller took charge, ensuring as many people as possible got into lifeboats. He was the last to leave the ship, making sure it was evacuated before saving himself. Engineer Thomas Andrews, who designed the Titanic, was seen helping passengers and directing them to lifeboats. Despite knowing the ship's fate, he stayed aboard, assisting until the very end. Another hero was wireless operator Harold Bride, who continued to send distress signals even as water rose around him. His efforts ensured that nearby ships, including the RMS Carpathia, were aware of the Titanic's plight and could come to the rescue. Ida Strauss refused to leave her husband Isidore, choosing to stay with him until the end. The bravery and selflessness displayed by so many on the Titanic are remembered and honoured to this day. As the Titanic sank, the icy waters of the North Atlantic claimed many lives. Those who had not found a place in the lifeboats faced the frigid temperatures and near-freezing water. Hypothermia set in quickly, and many succumbed to the cold within minutes of entering the water. The final moments of the Titanic were chaotic and tragic. The ship broke in two, with the stern rising out of the water before finally disappearing beneath the waves. Survivors in lifeboats watched in horror as the once mighty vessel vanished into the depths. The cries of those in the water were heart-wrenching. Lifeboats that were not filled to capacity hesitated to return for fear of being swamped. Only a few boats dared to go back, rescuing a handful of desperate souls. The lifeboats, though insufficient in number, became the last hope for survival. Each lifeboat carried its own story of courage and resilience. Boat number 1 carried only 12 people, despite having a capacity of 40, highlighting the confusion and panic during the evacuation. Other boats, like Collapsible A, were nearly swamped by the rising water but managed to stay afloat. In lifeboat number 6, the Unsinkable Molly Brown took charge, urging others to row and keep spirits high. Her leadership and tenacity became legendary. She, along with others, ensured that their boat stayed clear of the sinking ship and avoided being pulled down by the suction. Survivors in the lifeboats faced a new ordeal, the freezing night. Without proper clothing or supplies, they huddled together for warmth, praying for rescue. Some sang hymns, while others recounted their experiences, bonding over their shared ordeal. As dawn broke, the RMS Carpathia arrived, having steamed through the night to reach the Titanic's last known position. The RMS Carpathia, commanded by Captain Arthur Rostron, arrived at the scene at approximately 4 a.m. on April 15, 1912. The crew worked tirelessly to rescue survivors from the lifeboats. The Carpathia's crew showed remarkable compassion and efficiency, providing blankets, hot drinks, and medical care to the cold and traumatized passengers. The Carpathia picked up 705 survivors, a mix of passengers and crew. Among them were women, children, and a few fortunate men who had found places in the lifeboats. The ship turned toward New York, carrying the survivors and the heavy burden of the tragedy they had endured. News of the Titanic sinking quickly spread, causing shock and disbelief worldwide. Families awaited news of their loved ones, hoping against hope for a miracle. The Carpathia's arrival in New York was met with a mixture of relief and mourning. Crowds gathered at the docks, eager for any news of the survivors. The sinking of the Titanic led to significant changes in maritime laws and regulations. Inquiries were held in both the United States and the United Kingdom to determine the causes of the disaster and how such a tragedy could be prevented in the future. Testimonies from survivors, crew members, and experts highlighted the need for more stringent safety measures. One of the most significant outcomes was the requirement for sufficient lifeboats for all passengers and crew on board. The International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea, SOLAS, was established in 1914, setting new standards for lifeboats, emergency protocols, and ship design. Wireless communication regulations were also tightened to ensure that distress signals would be prioritized. The Titanic disaster also led to the establishment of the International Ice Patrol, which monitors iceberg dangers in the North Atlantic. These changes have significantly improved maritime safety, preventing similar tragedies. The story of the Titanic has captivated the world for over a century. It remains a symbol of human ambition, tragedy, and resilience. The ship's sinking has inspired countless books, films, and documentaries. The wreck, discovered in 1985 by Robert Ballard, provided new insights. Artifacts recovered from the site have been displayed in museums worldwide. The Titanic's story evokes a deep emotional response, reminding us of bravery and humanity. The Titanic's legacy is a testament to the enduring human spirit.